Hello, hello, how you doing? Okay, so I listened to all these theologians and all these experts on the Bible and everything, and and what they say about prophecy. And I really agree with them, and I'm really thankful for all the things that they've taught me. And in a lot of ways, teaching me what I already knew, that it's all a bunch of BS, pretty much, kind of. But that's not so much what they're teaching. It's just they're just trying to teach, how to be accurate according to the data, like the Bart Ehrmans uh, and the Dan McClellans, out there. And I guess the Jan Sway approach on prophecies kind of more of like a historicism perspective on it. It's the prophecies. I think that most of the prophecies in the Bible, a third of the Bible is about prophecy, according to Herbert Armstrong, and most of what Herbert Armstrong says isn't true. There, it just turns out he's more like stepping stones, to get you away from conventional, traditional, modern day thinking, um, modern slash traditional slash conventional thinking today on the Bible. Herbert Armstrong is a stepping stone that steps you away from that, so you can look back at it, and then he ends up pointing at Selassie as the Elijah, allegedly, and then pretty soon you start getting more gripped into Selassie, and then you don't need the Bible, and you don't need that anymore. But how is Haile Selassie the Lion of Judah? Well, it's because of thought forms, in past lives and everything. It's kind of like a self-fulfilled prophecy. We've believed these things are going to happen for so long, and we keep rewriting it. We say, well, that prophecy, since like 100 years after Jesus, every year, every decade, every century, we keep rewriting what we think it means, and we say, well, it kind of happened, like it said, that the Jewish people kind of did this, but it wasn't exactly like it says, so we rewrite what we think it means, and instead of just admitting that it didn't happen, or that it only partially happened, but and that's because there are some little pieces of truth that have happened, not so much because that's what the authors of the Bible needed it to be or wanted it to be, but more because the reader wanted it to be so bad that it's just kind of it's had something to do with guiding us through the mists of time, and with these lingering things. But even the writers of the Bible were doing that too, because you can see in all traditions that there's this concept of this end time, that there would be this peace. It's not just a biblical thing, And so another way to explain Haile Selassie is he's not just the second coming of Jesus, and that's not a conventional way of saying that. I mean, he's not the reincarnation of Jesus. He's an incarnation of Yahweh, come again in the character of his kingship, to show what an incarnation is actually like, that it's more of a human thing than they say, and to replace it with a modern story that's more relevant than these stories of the past that didn't turn out to be exactly like we'd hoped, In Buddhism, Haile Selassie is the seventh avatar. In Islam, Haile Selassie is the final announcement. In witchcraft, in the Kabbalah, Haile Selassie is the ushers in the age of Aquarius, And so, like, Haile Selassie was taking problems that are still relevant today, the need for peace. The whole point of it all is that there'll be a millennium of peace. Will it last exactly 1,000 years? Probably not, because none of the prophecies have been exactly true like we'd hoped all along, you know? They're just concepts, and there's something inside of our psyche that knows that one day we will, you know, if you search inside yourself, there's something in you that knows that somehow there will be peace. Somehow we will figure out a way out of using war to solve our problems. It's such a horrible thing, you know? So the point is kind of that, is to finally put prophecy and theology and religion into a perspective where we can stop using it, you know? And the Lion of Judah would open the seven seals, you know? The concept is that someone biblically related to these people would be a king and have a government and be born of Ethiopia, Psalm 87, and would open the seven seals, would finally make sense of it, you know. And Haile Selassie, and I go over this in my playlist about the Lion King. Haile Selassie did in a comprehensive way fulfill those prophecies, and he did come and go like a thief in the night. How does a thief in the night come and go, you know? And he did it in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, was in a situation where he had to solve these same problems. His country was going to be extinguished by the Italians, and all these problems that he had, and he had to try to figure out how to modernize Ethiopia without freaking everybody out. And we see that today, you know, he was in the exact same situation way before we were, kind of, you know. And so that makes it so it adds an innocence to a situation where we can look at it. Plus, the story is so delicious and everything. It's like now it's all been replaced with Bob Marley's music and with the lifestyle of Rasta, which the lifestyle of Rasta is trying to break away from those things and replace it with things that are relevant, like how we eat, how we treat each other. And we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, you know, is a big concept, you know, that it's not all garbage, you know. There's strands of truth that if you look at it a certain way, and the Bible doesn't have a singular, it's not univocular or whatever that word is, you know. It's all, the Bible doesn't speak from one voice. Neither do the prophecies. Really, there isn't just one monotheistic, one deity that's the same today, yesterday, and forever. It's all a prophecy. I mean, it's all a process, and it all evolves. And there's nothing about it that's univocal, you know, that's one voice saying one thing all the way through it. Even today with prophecy, it's more like a bunch of things that we can piece together. I just heard Dan McClellan say it's not like a puzzle where you need to look at the picture of the box to put it together. It's more like Legos that you can put it together however you want. And I think that's true, you know. But there are strands of truth that are true. The concept of there being the last days, and that it all ending, you know, that the Bible ending and we don't need it anymore. That there would be a line of Judah that would establish a kingdom born of Ethiopia related to Jesus, that would have a significant message in his life story, you know, and that cannabis, you know, resinous cannabis and industrial hemp is what we would use as a tool to solve our problems. And you know, and we're never going to find ever, never, are we ever going to find a way to explain the prophecies better than with Haile Selassie, resinous cannabis, and industrial hemp. We're never going to find a plant that can solve all our problems. We're never going to find someone that actually is the Lion of Judah. The raptures, we know that's not true. Jesus is not going to come in the cloud. In my Bible discussions playlist, so I have a video made by someone else that it's like a 6-minute reenactment of what that's saying. You know, Jesus is going to come in the cloud. There's going to be trumpets, and Jesus is going to say who's been right all along. I mean, we're not thinking things through. You know that's not going to happen. Are you serious? Come on. We know Jesus isn't going to come in a cloud and do those things. That's not going to happen. That's stupid. You know, how childish and immature and inexperienced, silly and ridiculous and embarrassing for someone to believe something like that. You know, Haile Selassie is the only thing that comes and goes like a thief in the night and brings dignity to things. That the Ark of the Covenant's in Ethiopia, in the Church of St. Mary of Zion, in Aksum, Ethiopia. You know, because there needs to always be priests burning incense and praying before the Ark of the Covenant. It can't be hidden in a warehouse somewhere to fulfill prophecy. You know, Ethiopia and Rastafari and these messages are used, can be used that way to bring dignity to the whole thing, so that we can put it behind us and stop using the dogma and all these teachings like they carry that much weight. All they are is just like fables and bedtime stories that have messages, and they shouldn't be taken as much more than that. But bedtime stories like Never Cry Wolf, you know, Never Cry Wolf, where the kid is supposed to watch the sheep and say and everybody's asleep so that he can cry wolf, so everybody can wake up out of their sleep and go get the wolf so they don't kill the sheep. And then he says, there's a wolf, and they say, where's the wolf? And he's all laughing, ha ha, gotcha. And then he keeps doing that, and then a wolf really comes one day, and he says, there's a wolf, and everybody just stays asleep. They're like, oh, we're not going to fall for it this time. But then the kid gets eaten, and the sheep get eaten by the wolf, you know. Never cry wolf, you know. Did that story ever happen? Who cares? That's not the point. You know, we don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know. These things have meanings in that. And plus, don't be so small that you think it's all about the Bible and the Bible prophecies either. You know, we have all the religions and all the prophecies, and we didn't always have the internet where we could compare notes and everything. People have independently believed that there would be this concept of an end time where we'd outgrow war, and there would be a peace, an age of Aquarius, a seventh avatar, a final announcement, a second coming, you know. And so it's more about that, and all of that I'm not saying it's the only way it can happen, but it can be. You can use reggae and cannabis and Haile Selassie and Ethiopian history between 1930s and up to 1970s, and the life of Haile Selassie as the Lion of Judah. You can use these things to shut all that up in your head in an intellectual, satisfying way and move on, because the only way peace can be possible is if we find a way that it makes sense that we should have peace, that we can have peace, that we ought to have peace, and believe that in your heart and your mind, and then it will ripple out and eventually become true. But there would be many ways that it would, like the epicenter inside of each person before it ripples out, would be explained in a variety of different ways. And Rastafari, in my case, Jan Sway Rostowich, the Jan Sway Rostowich way, you know, which can be many ways. Maybe you're a Jan Sway Rostowich too, but you believe really different things than me. You know, even within the realm of the Jan Sway Rostowich, there'd be many different interpretations, many different perspectives, and all roads lead to Rome, home.